Woohoo! All right.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here and we are with you. It is 9:30 in the morning. If you're in America, of course, wherever you are, it is 9:30 in the morning our time. And we are thrilled that you all are here. If this is your first time here, welcome. I am Jax. That is Erika. And we are the 212 Cyber Chicks. And we are thrilled to have you guys here. So welcome. Love you, Simply Cyber community. Thanks for being here with us. We do not have a guest today because we intentionally wanted to have an episode during this season where it was just Erika and I, and we want to talk about the hiring paradox. Like, this is an area that, with a lot of things that are impacting us, the microeconomics that are going on right now, there's a significant amount of layoffs, while at the same time, Erika, we're seeing like a whole bunch of like jobs available. And so there's this like paradox from our lens of like, there's supposedly all this talent that's out there because all these layoffs are happening, all this stuff is happening, but then it's also extremely hard to get into cybersecurity. So we're not going to talk about so much the struggles of breaking into cybersecurity. I think that's a topic that gets talked about a lot. What we're going to chat about, though, is talking about kind of diving into the details of what could be happening behind the scenes that could be causing you all to have a struggle of getting a job in this environment. And not just, and this could be for any field, really, what we're going to be kind of talking about, but it will be focused on cybersecurity. So I'm excited about this. Let's kick it off. Let's talk. I'll pass it over to Erika. Hiring paradox. Everyone's saying there's a shortage of cybersecurity talent, like I just said. Yet we see so many skilled professionals that can't find a job. What's going on? What are your thoughts with all the layoffs and everything?
Yeah, this one is tough. If you open up your LinkedIn feed, and you've been in this space for even at least 1 year, right? And you're connected with other people in this industry, you are seeing layoffs and layoffs. Hey, my role has been eliminated. There's a lot of that kind of language being utilized. So it's not a performance-based indicator, right? It is a economical indicator of, hey, there is no funding to keep some of these roles open. And there are really talented individuals, experienced people that are out on the market, open for work. I mean, I'm seeing tons and tons of these taglines on people's thumbnails across LinkedIn. And it's tough because we do see positions open up. We're still feeling the crunch. I mean, this is, as long as you and I have been in this industry, we have always felt that there's a never-ending volume of work, right? And some of you may be feeling like really heard by that sentiment of there's always more work to do. This isn't one of those jobs that, you just clock in, clock out, and like, you're done with all of your tasks, check. No, there's always more you could be doing to eliminate risk, to complete assessments. Your day-to-day job is not as finite, in a box. So I think it's really tough because how do you wrap your head around that push and pull? And I think what's really interesting to see is the kind of like the shift, right? Like we heard first it was really, really hard to break in. And okay, there's not enough talent. What comes first, the chicken or the egg problem, right? Do you have to go get experience first? Do you go get a degree? Do you go, what do you do to get hired, right? These are now people, we've kind of seen this shift now where these are people that are experienced, that are out in, the labor force, they're open to work, and we're still not able to fit these roles. So I think what that makes me wonder, Jax, is the roles that we are seeing in the environment. I am seeing more of a push for junior resources, but I am seeing very selective roles, like very specific. So while roles may get eliminated, I don't think they're a one-for-one backfill at this time. And I don't know if you have any other context of what you've seen, but that's been my personal take. I'm seeing these higher level roles being eliminated, and then they're opened with maybe a more junior role. And maybe they're more specific. And I'm wondering, okay, maybe that's business need, right? But there's very much this like do more with less mentality and just like vibe going around.
100%. Do more with less. Absolutely. Get more juice out of the squeeze. Yeah, that's the thing. Because that's how I feel. You're right. I think I have witnessed it, not firsthand, because I've been fortunate where I actually was able to move a junior out of one of my roles and actually hire for a more senior position, because the role actually needed a more senior position. So I had to create a justification, a business case for it. But I will say I'm hiring one position that is a more junior role that I got approved, that I would prefer them to be a director, for example. But one of the things is like our budget across the board. And this is across the board, collectively within security, it got slashed. Everybody's got slashed. And I was actually over here as you were talking, I was pulling up some stats really quick. Shout out to ChatGPT. So obviously we would want to fact check these, but real quick from like what ChatGPT was bringing up, decline in budget growth. In 2023, cybersecurity budgets grew by an average of 6%, a significant decrease from the 17th growth observed in 2022. Another thing that I found really interesting is that over 1/3, so 37% of CISOs reported a flat or decreased cybersecurity budget in 2022 to 2023. Obviously, this doesn't show 24, but I can tell you from experience, I have seen it either go flat. For us, it's just get dropped like 20% slash. And that has an impact on talent. Like we don't have enough money and we're trying to outsource and figure out creative ways to get the right talent in the seats, but then maybe not being able to have the competitive salary per se that we could give them. So it's like, maybe we can hire somebody that has like junior 3 to 5 years of experience, but we want them to operate at this level. So we'll train them up too, which problems come with that. Like you have to be willing to spend more time on training that person. And as an executive, we don't have a lot of time to train the people. So there's I'm seeing a lot of different challenges. And I'm also seeing like really, really senior people applying for these junior roles. Like and I'm seeing like directors and CISOs at not maybe Fortune 500 companies, at like, smaller companies, but they're applying for like managers, senior manager roles.
And I think, Jax, what's really tough with that, like I've actually had people in my network reach out to me, hey, I am basically like getting filtered out of the interview process. Like I don't even make it to the interview process, because as hiring managers, and if you're a hiring manager, this is one of the things that I feel like we all need to acknowledge. There is maybe a thought you have when you look at somebody that's super experienced, let's say 20 years, and you're thinking, this person may not be fulfilled or satisfied doing this role. Maybe they're not used to being this hands-on. Maybe this is too much of a grind for them, and it's this line of thinking that we are making assumptions on behalf of an individual that keeps us from pushing them through the process. And I know that happens usually like in HR. Like Jax, you and I are not even involved in that process, right? That happens like through the screening, through HR. Sometimes like at this point, we've got like AI filtering some of these things out. But I think that is a huge issue that we need to acknowledge, because let's be honest, someone that has 20 years in this industry may be feeling burnt out, may feel like they need a change of pace. Maybe they miss being hands-on and technical. Maybe they're willing to take a salary cut because they want to feel more purpose at work. And so like, shame on all of these filters for kind of keeping them in a box and not allowing them to, move away from like the experience that they've gained so far. So I think that that's something that we always acknowledge, moving up and finding that next opportunity. We're always talking about moving up and upskilling and like, boosting and bolstering your toolkit, but we don't talk enough about how it go backwards. And I say backwards in quotation marks, because it's not that some of these are linear things, but it's basically a different role, right? That maybe isn't in your linear trajectory. And I think that's really tough.
Yeah. Question for you on that, because I am one of those filters. There have been times I can say that I have seen an individual in their last like 4 or 5 years, for example, was like director and above role. And the role that I'm looking at hiring would be somebody, it wouldn't be so much complete hands-on, but a business information security officer. Like you're in the weeds. You're helping drive security objectives. You probably won't have a team. Like all of these things that they used to do, there is a factor of like, okay, oh, and another thing that you look at too is what if they've been out of work for 6 months? So they've been out of work for 6 months. They were at a higher level. Now, is this just a job for them to take to make money and move on after they get the job they want in 6 months? Which again, we go back to, there's an onboarding process, there's a training process, there's getting all these things figured out. And you want, personally, I prefer somebody, because we do have you see on people's resume, a red flag for me is if they move less than every year and a half. Year and a half to 2 years is pretty normal in this industry, but I would like a 2-year commitment at the minimum. It's really hard to get stuff done if people are popping around after 6 months to a year on a resume.
Money.
And that's the thing. So I'm like, do I risk and hire this person knowing that for the last 5 years they've done X, but they're applying for this, but they've also been out of work for 6 months? And our time is so limited. It's like you're getting all of these candidates coming in that you have to make the best judgment. And this, everybody that's listening, this goes back to network too. If they're not a referral, I'm probably going to pass them up. Yeah. I'm going to probably move on to somebody else that looks on paper like more of the candidate I want. Now, if they get a referral from somebody I know and go, hey, here's this person, this is their situation, X, Y, and Z. The bank this is a big thing in banking, if anybody doesn't know, but the banks have downsized like a mass amount in the last year. And there's a ton of people outside of the banks that got a severance, and they selected the severance, and it's like a year severance. So they've been looking for work, but they're not actually doing anything right now. But I know that because I was referred to a couple of these individuals. So I'm like, okay, that's why they haven't been in work for 6 months, but it's hard.
Context. I think that's
yes.
the important key to take away. We're seeing a pool of candidates coming in, and some of them do have lapses, and they're telling you, hey, I've been laid off. And here's the thing. We don't really know on paper, is this layoff due to performance? Is this layoff due to budgetary cut? And sometimes it's both, right? But that's why that network connection and those referrals, like taking a pause to go get some referrals, to find somebody in your network that is mutually connected with that person. Like if you're hearing this and you have been impacted by layoffs, go reach to your network. Find people that can vouch for you, that have open positions, that know somebody, right? That will go a long way so that you can explain your situation, and so that you can really help those hiring managers and even the HR screening partners refine what you're looking for and what you would bring to the table. Because I do think that is the way to navigate this job market right now. Yeah. I think there's too much filtering going on, and really capable quality candidates are not making it to the interview process because of all of these things.
Yeah, you've got to get creative. And this isn't going to change. And we don't want this to be doom and gloom. It's more of like, if I had to give you all a tip on how to be better at this, outside of like, obviously networking is critical. And I know that's like a bad word. We can rephrase it to build your community. Like build your community, reach out to people on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. Erika and I met through LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. Literally, I am part of Simply Cyber community because of LinkedIn, through John Helmus, who introduced me to Erika, that introduced me to Jerry, that allowed me to write a book with him, that turned into all of these amazing opportunities. LinkedIn is where it's at, in my opinion. If you like to go in person, but you don't have to. You don't have to spend a single penny on growing your community. And that community,
you need to be intentional, Jax.
Yes.
Intentional.
Yes. Yes. Be intent. Yeah. And what do you, Erika, explain what that means? Because we throw this word around, intentional, and what is intentional? Sending a LinkedIn message to me and then following up a week later when I haven't responded, and then doing it again and again. Like, is that intentional? No, so explain intentional.
No. Yeah. Intentional is finding ways to connect. So like, I think of individuals that have reached out, and let's say they find ways to add value to you. Mm. Hey, I see that your LinkedIn banner is a little bit, outdated. Here's some things that I've seen in other profiles. I'm really passionate about this stuff. I want to help you out. I'm, looking forward to maybe connecting with you, right? I'm not getting just random connection requests, but people that are like taking a look at the details. They're trying to make some kind of value add to you, right?
Yeah.
And it could be something, and I use the LinkedIn banner thing because it's just something so small. It takes somebody 2 seconds, that's looked at other profiles that like says, hey, just by the way, and then seeks to make a connection with you, and it becomes a mutual beneficial connection. And they're looking to find you as more of just, what can I learn from this person?
Yep.
Like, what kind of relationship can I build here? I've definitely made some great connections on LinkedIn where, hey, they've asked me for resources. I've been happy to provide those. But then maybe 2 months later, when you do get that cert, you reach back out.
Yep.
And you're not even looking for anything in return. It's just like, hey, I want to show you, I took your feedback, I ran with it. Here's what I accomplished. And then even a month later, hey, I'm interviewing for this role and I'm super excited. If you have any tips, like let me know, right? But they're intentional asks. And what I mean by that is they're specific. There's action being driven there. And it's not just for you to respond, but they're also providing you some back and forth.
Yep.
And it's not just a, hey, can you reply? Hey, can you reply?
Yes.
Hey, I haven't heard from you, right? It's not just like knocking on your door over and over again. And I think there's a lot of power also in, here's an update, no need to reply, but wanted to let you know what an impact this has had on me.
Yes.
Right. Because that way you're nurturing a relationship without having to like hop on the phone every single time, but you're kind of, keeping up to date. And Jax, I'm sure this resonates with you when you see an individual that you've had some kind of connection with, probably never met in person, but maybe did, one conversation on LinkedIn, maybe a couple back and forth. They get a job and they send you an update and you get excited, right? Maybe a year later, they check in with you. Here's what's going on at work. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
This was awesome. What can I support you with, right? It becomes this back and forth dialogue when at this point you've made a friend, it's not just like an exchange, right? So I don't know if you have more to add, like how do you make your connections more intentional? Because I know that you engage with the community a lot more actively than I do. You post a lot more, right? Like you're very intentional in your branding, in your messaging, in having specific like asks to and actions for the community. And I think that that's been something that makes you really approachable and drives a lot of value for others to also see, well, Jax puts herself out there. I can do it too.
Yeah.
Two Cyber Chicks is all about demystifying cybersecurity. No tech jargon, just real talk.
We also want to thank ThreatLocker for being our season 6 sponsor.
Do zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks keep you up at night? Worry no more. You can harden your security with ThreatLocker. Worldwide, companies like JetBlue trust ThreatLocker to secure their data and keep their business operations flying high. ThreatLocker takes a deny-by-default approach to cybersecurity and provides a full audit of every action allowed or blocked for risk management and compliance. Onboarding and operation is fully supported by their US-based Cyber Heroes support team. Get a free 30-day trial and learn more about how ThreatLocker can help prevent ransomware and ensure compliance. Visit threatlocker.com.
I think there's levels to everybody. Sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I could be more engaging like Kimberly McKnight and Jerry and stuff. But I can't. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And that's something I want to recognize here. It does take a lot to be intentional, but it does go extremely far. And also keeping in mind, doesn't usually happen overnight. It can take months. Like there was a woman that her and I engaged a little bit on LinkedIn. Then she started engaging with some of my comments, and how she engaged me, I was like, I really like the way that she thinks. And then I reached out to her privately, and then we connected, and I'm like, I want to have a call with you. And then we became instant friends. Like I shared my cell phone number with her, and now I was like, okay, I want you in my life. Like you're really awesome. But it was because she didn't do it. I don't even think she ever sent me a DM once. She engaged, and she engaged thoughtfully and creatively on my just posts that I would send. It wouldn't be every single one. It'd be ones here and there. That stands out, but it takes time. I think her and I probably were engaged for like a couple of months before I even DM'd her. When you, Erika, were talking about the banner thing, I can't remember honestly. And I get like a couple of hundred messages probably a week. And I cannot remember the last time somebody has reached out to me on LinkedIn, and like Kimberly McKnight did this. This is how we met. She reached out to me and did kind of what you said, was like, hey, I do graphics. I'd love to give you a free graphic of X, Y, and Z. I think it was my Outpost Gray, either that or my personal page. But she was going to do it for me for free. And she was like, that's like, you set yourself so far apart from the rest if you just do that small thing, knowing I get like 200 messages a week, and I haven't seen that in years. Literally, nobody.
Yeah.
It'll usually be like, read my report, or can you get me a job? It's always an ask. So add value. That is the most critical thing. The more creative you can do it, the better. And then start looking at, and if you want to get going back to like the hiring process, this does take time. However, it's all about building your community, and this is long term. Like, these are people that if you build your community, you will always have those contacts in your life forever. They will support you. So identify, where do you want to work? Where are the recruiters? Joe Hudson is an individual I would reach out to who used to be a recruiter. Like, connect with people, share and show value to them, support them in whatever way. And I promise you, in return, they're going to want to support you. If you have a banner that shows open for work, or you reach out and say, hey, I'm down on my luck right now, do you know of any positions? People will go above and beyond, but it does take putting effort in. And I think that's where we kind of get it wrong as a society, is we have these passive observers, and they're like, well, I've watched your stuff. I'm a huge fan. Hey, I need a job. Or, hey, like, I get this because I'm at Pearson a lot. Hey, I see Pearson has a job. Will you refer me? And I don't even know this person. And I'm like, no, probably not refer you. Yeah. Like, I'll introduce you to the recruiter. But I think also you need to understand, when you're asking for a referral, that means we're putting our stamp on you that you're a good candidate. If we don't know you and we've never engaged with you, asking for a referral is, I don't know if I would probably say unprofessional, but just letting you understand why you would not want to do that right out of the gate. Because that's basically saying to the recruiter, hey, Joe Smith over here, I highly recommend him. Like, definitely put him at the top of the line for doing interviews. Like, there's no other way of like doing a referral. But if I don't know you, we've never engaged, I'm not going to feel comfortable doing a referral. I don't care what your LinkedIn says and you're a quantum physicist, da, 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 da. I don't know if you get on a call and you're like a really condescending person. I don't want to put my name on that. Like, there's a whole factor around referrals. So that's the part of building the community. And that's why it's also so hard why people don't refer you. That's the other part of that. When you're like, well, I have this community, I have these people, why aren't they referring me? I have this banner up. Well, how have you connected with them? How do they know you?
And how have you showcased those skill sets, right, Jax? Because like, that's the other thing is, if you and I refer somebody, the first question we're going to, in what capacity did you work with them?
Yep.
How do you think that they can satisfy these requirements of the role? I'm not prepared to answer that, so I can't refer you. And I think that that's what's key. So I will say, if you are not actively keeping people on a short list of who would recommend you for a role, that's something you need to start doing now, right? Yeah. Whether you're currently employed, whether you are looking for a job right now, you need to have a handful of people that you've worked with before that can speak to different areas of your professional career and are credible individuals that you can say, hey, at this point, I can give a recruiter your contact info. I can check with you first, but that individual would be ready. And I know that those aren't necessarily, they're not immediate asks, because you could be looking for a job in 2 years, right? But like, it does go a long way, because people don't want just, referrals that have only known you 6 months. They want people that have known you. If somebody can speak to your work ethic 5 years ago, they're like, okay, now I have multiple people throughout the history of their employment that can speak to this person in different roles that they've been in at different organizations. Also, the LinkedIn recommendation feature, that is awesome.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And not waiting till you are actually finding it and looking for a job to ask for it. Like something as simple as, if somebody takes the time to share some resources with you on LinkedIn, sharing a recommendation with them of, hey, this person is really valuable and knowledgeable in these specific areas and help me out. Like, that takes you 5 minutes to do. and it is in return something that you're doing to like engage with them and putting on the resume. So even if you're like out of work, you can find ways to add value, build your network, and find ways to like build up this like reputational recommendation image that's visible to recruiters without even getting to the interview process.
Yep. And there was something you said, and I was listening, so I didn't want to. And now I forgot what I said.
Oh no,
it's okay. But it was one of the things was the recommendation button. That is such an undervalued. Is that the right way of saying it? Undervalued like capability of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Like every time I have gotten one of those from somebody, it always blows me away. I'm like, wow, that was really nice because I never asked for it. That is such a good point, Erika. I love that. I want to challenge anybody that's listening to this or watching this. If there is somebody that you want to connect with or you are connected with and you want to take that relationship just a little bit deeper, go out and give them a recommendation and then let us know, message us on Two Cyber Chicks or in the comments below. When you do it later, come back to the show, let us know what happened because I'm promising you they're going to be blown away by that. And that's such a great idea, Erika.
Even
completely forget about it.
Even like a current employee at work right now. If
Yes.
they're doing you solids, if you are really like teaming well, let them know. A lot of times we forget to give people the recognition they deserve a lot of times, right? Like sometimes we get into a cycle of only sharing constructive criticism. Like share the goodness and, share it with their manager, but also go a step further and put it on LinkedIn. Like, hey, this person is super dependable. Every time that I need, to do something, whatever deliverable is going to be quality, like put real examples there, without like, getting into confidentiality, but like, that is going to go such a long way.
Yeah.
And then they're going to also like it comes back around, right? Like what goes around comes back around. So like, they'll also be more inclined to do that for you. And then that becomes a culture in your organization as well, if you do that more often. So, something that Jax, I'd love to touch on before, we wrap up also is just like the concept of upskilling, right? Because we're also talking about networking, current skill sets, but like also, Jax, how would you suggest that individuals who are looking to the future and playing in this, rigorous job market, what are things that they can be doing to upskill and maybe boost some of their resume, their skill sets, some of these like, click keywords?
So one of the things when we talk about upskilling, we've got conferences, we've got podcasts like ours. This helps keep you current. So I want to be really clear on that. Can some of the like conferences that you go to help you with upskilling? 110%. But upskilling, in my opinion, is being super, super intentional. And it's a long-term career, like a long-term education path. It's not a weekend conference. That's part of it. Those are part of those steps of upskilling. Upskilling, though, is looking in the future. And I'm talking like 5 to 10 years down the road and thinking about where is technology going to be in the next 5 to 10 years. And I'm just going to throw this out. Because I actually love quantum computing. I wrote about it in my paper. I can't wait till it comes out. I'm really excited. I know the NVIDIA spoke about it like a couple of months ago that we're probably further behind than people think. Regardless, it's coming. So if that's something you want to nerd out on, start learning about it now. Start getting education in it now. Start trying to consume as much content that you can. And maybe you become the content creator, because what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years is that's going to be the hot topic. And there's not going to be a lot of people that are on the forefront. And the people that are the physics degree, the really big nerds, they're not going to be forward facing. So you've got different directions that you can take your career, but you've got to start looking at where is it going in 5 to 10 years? The way to find that out through conferences, through meeting and talking with experts, reading, just understanding the landscape, looking at the history and where we're going is going to help you. History is always a great predictor of where we're going to go. And then create your career path. Be like, okay, I believe that X skill is going to be really critical. Nobody's talking about it right now, but I need to do X, Y, and Z. And I need to start looking at these conferences. And in 5 years, you're going to be upskilled. So you put that on your resume. You start putting blogs out about it. Going back to what you were saying, Erika, put content out. Show that you're a thought leader in that space. That's going to separate you from the rest. And this is, I'm telling you right now, and AI is the hot topic, but it's a real thing. I'm seeing it in my corporation. AI is absolutely prevalent. It is streamlining processes. It's taking away the lower level skills, the administrative task. And I know there's like this, and I don't agree with this, where there's a fear of like AI is going to replace jobs. To an extent, yes. But what it's going to force is it's going to force us to upskill. And that is why this is so critical, because entry-level jobs like assistants that help their executive assistants, things like that, like jobs like that that can be replaced by AI are going to be replaced by AI in the next 5 years. I mean, we're seeing robots getting rolled out right now by Tesla or Elon Musk. I think it's Tesla, but it's Elon Musk regardless, that are going to be able to cook for you and be emotional support and do like regular tasks around the house. You can't say in 5 years that that's all going to get replaced. That's why, in my opinion, upskilling is so critical for everybody to start looking at now. What do you want to add on that? I know I covered a lot on that.
No, for sure. I think that this is what's exciting about this field is we're all always learning. It's like, it's a must. If you're in this field, you're always doing it. And I think something that if you guys tuned into Bronwyn's episode, if you haven't already, go check it out. She talked a lot about marketing, thought leadership. Something I want to make sure is super clear. You don't have to wait to be the expert to get content out. If you're passionate about learning, which hopefully all of you are, find a topic that you want to learn about and publish and post what you're learning as you're learning it, right? Share that content, help to amplify it. And I think that will go a long way. So I think a lot of us get nervous. We don't want to seem to not know what we're talking about. We don't want to put things out until it's, quote unquote, something we're experts in. Don't wait till you've hit that level of expertise. Just share what you're learning, share the resources you're pulling from, and then be at that forefront, right? You're going to be there. Other people are going to get in line to start sharing the same kind of content, and find your community. There's other people in LinkedIn that are also passionate. There's likely groups, as there have been for like crypto, something that comes to mind for me, like blockchain and crypto. We've been talking about this for a few years. There's some experts out there, but it's still not like flooded by content or experts. Like I still don't think that we've seen, the end of like the end all be all of industry experts in crypto, right? Like, so it's kind of the same. Now we're living that with AI. We're going to be living that with like computing, right? And artificial intelligence is here right now. Like, learn it. We don't know how to like audit and secure it in all the right ways. And it's hard to wrap our heads around it. So I think just find, like Jax said, just find ways to upskill your current knowledge. And find ways to add value in everything that you do, because there are elements of our work that cannot be replaced by computers.
Adding value is just a great skill to do in your entire life, like in relationships, in everything. Just, I mean, you can't go wrong there.
People will always remember how you make them feel, not what you do for them, but how you make them feel. So make sure that like your exchanges, that's also something you're seeking.
God, we dropped some knowledge bombs on y'all.
If you're still listening, you're still here hanging out. Thank you so much. We love to have you. I know this was a little bit longer of an episode that we usually do. I hope that this was a real talk. So I hope that you're walking away with some actionable items. Again, we don't want this to be like, we want you to find pep in this conversation, right? There's a lot of light and goodness here, but like, we're going to keep it real with you guys. Like there are some struggles in navigating this job market right now, and we want you to put your best foot forward. So, gather up the information here, put together an action plan, learn a couple of takeaways, and please let us know, what did you find valuable here? What are you taking away from here and actually applying, today or in 30 days? And if you have other tips, we'd love to share those with the class. So thank you for tuning in. Do you have any feedback or any guests that you guys want to see or hear from? Please send us an email at 2cyberchicks@gmail.com. We loved hanging out with you, and we will catch you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.